Hey, before you watch this thing, hit subscribe, would you?
Okay, so you started, I mean, not started, but a lot of your early stuff was with Mamet, right?
Right.
I've read a bunch of his books. He has a very outside-in approach to acting, right? It seems to be just appear that you're experiencing the thing that I need you to experience. It's not, he doesn't seem to care about process at all.
No, he does. And he's the smartest guy I've ever met when it comes to technique.
Please tell me about that, because that wasn't my understanding.
I met him at Goddard College, a little hippie school up in Vermont that sadly no longer exists. But there were no rules, no tests, no grades, no nothing. It was the height of the hippie educational movement. And Dave had just gone to the neighborhood playhouse for a year, wasn't invited back, came back to Goddard where he had graduated and started teaching essentially the Meisner technique, which is, Stanislavski method. And he put his stamp on it. So he's big on technique, but his technique is about, in order, what is the playwright trying to say? What is the task? What is your task according to the playwright? And to translate that into something that you can do in real time in front of people, and you can succeed at it or fail at it. It's specific, and it takes a bit of time to analyze these scripts, a la his technique. What you're referring to is that he freed us all up of feeling anything, which is genius. You don't have to believe it. And it couldn't matter less, because the reality of storytelling is that the audience wants to jump in, and they only won't jump in and have an experience if you give them reasons not to. And so put a crown on me and a cloak and put me on a throne and announce me as the king. I'm the king. I don't have to think like a king. I don't have to feel like a king. I don't have to convince the audience, that I'm a king. I'm the king. The most important question is, what are you going to do?
So if you feel like I'm the king, would you say that his method is your method, or was that just?
Absolutely.
Okay. So you sort of assume there's going to be a buy-in from the audience.
Yeah. They got in their cars and came there. Sometimes they spent a whole lot of money on the ticket. They want it to be good, and they want to believe, and they want to have an experience. They want to suspend all their disbelief and go on a wild ride.
And so they kind of do some of the heavy lifting with you, and
a whole lot.
Yeah,
a whole lot. You're a comedian. The best jokes are the ones that have the fewest words possible, so that you give them absolutely everything.
I can't get over it.
I know. You just give your listener, your audience, every single thing they need, and not a syllable more. That's the best joke. And so you spend your time, how does the king feel? How would the king dress? It's wasted energy. Dave Mamet, you would think, probably greatest writer of our generation, you would think he would be precious about his lines, but he's not at all. I've heard him say, well, you keep saying it wrong, I must have wrote it wrong. And then he would change it.
Does he go away and change it, or he works it out with you?
He's fast. When you're doing plays, it's fabulous to see Dave. You see him out in the house there, and he puts his hands over his ears, and you can see him. He thinks of it, and then he counts it out. There's rhythm in everything he does. It's iambic pentameter mostly. But I adore his writing. It's really difficult, really hard to learn. And sometimes it's hard to discern what he's saying, because he doesn't give you, he writes it like people speak. And just as we've all had conversations where you're not sure what the other guy's saying, he does that.
And is he a taskmaster in terms of like?
No.
He's cool with it? Like
most of the films I've done, he spends as much energy on the gag reel and jokes as he does on the script. State
and Main's got the a joke that became a staple in like big comedy.
Which is?
That just happened.
So that happened.
Well, that just happened. Yes. That was on set. He came up with that on set.
That's the first time I've talked to other comedians and writers about it. Like, that's the first time anyone ever said that.
Oh yeah.
In entertainment. And then Will Ferrell said it.
That just happened.
And, like a bunch of people said it in other movies, but it's like, that's
where it came
Mamet.
from. I think some scholar someday will come up with half a book of things that Dave came up with that have moved into our vocabularies.
Always be closing.
I want you to find this Nancy boy, Elliot Ness. I want him dead. I want his family dead. I want his house burnt to the ground.
I think for a long time I was a dutiful actor, and maybe it's because Dave was my teacher and he's the greatest writer of our time. So I would dutifully learn the lines and I was slavish to them. And not everybody writes like Dave. So there were some scripts, and it's ad-libbing after a fashion, but it's just rounding it out. I was so precise with the script, and I don't know if that fits the definition of raw, but perhaps it's more realistic, make it a little more ragged around the edges and realistic. Like
you get that?
Really.
Do you do that by thinking and trying to embody something?
Well, my technique is you don't have to feel anything. That will happen whether you want it to or not, including those times when you think you feel nothing. It's not nothing. And like Phil Hoffman, there's no such thing as nothing with him. There's just so much going on. And the camera is really good at finding it. And if you've got talent at this, it just comes out, irrespective of your efforts to keep it bottled up. I figure out what the character wants, which is one question. This is what Dave Mamet brought to it. There's a difference between what the character wants and is doing than what the actor is doing. They're very similar, but they're not the same. And one of them requires belief and the other one doesn't. And one of them you need the script to win or lose, and the other one you don't. You don't need a set, you don't need a camera, you don't need anything. So, Hamlet's saying to his guys, swear to me you won't say that you saw this ghost. And he keeps saying, swear, swear, swear. And the notion is to translate that into something that you can do, you and me, if you're one of the soldiers, you and me can do it right here, to say it's as if you're not saving the kingdom. That's all imaginary. It's as if, and you come up with something concomitant so that you understand the nature of swearing. It's like, don't tell my girlfriend, it's not that. It's very important. You come up with something, and that's what you're getting a pledge, let's say. And the difference, I'm not explaining this well, but the difference is if you have an action that you can accomplish without preparation and without props, then you'll know when you've done it. And conversely, you'll know when you haven't done it. And the only way to know the difference of the two is for me to watch you like a hawk and measure you. And everything I do depends on what you do, which is the essence of acting. I want this, you want that, and I'm measuring you to figure out how to outsmart you, how to say this line. Well, what do you want? That's why the whole thing about looking like a doctor or acting like a king, it's what's a doctor? It's undefinable.
Yeah.
Some of them are Lotharios, and some of them are jerks, and some of them are ugly, and some of them are beautiful, and some of them, they're anything. You go to med school, that's what makes a doctor.
Are you interested in sociology as a function of the job, or anyway?
So. I think so. Those truths that we all hold. I once heard someone say to Mamet, well, you're lying for a living, really. That's what an actor does. I mean, It's not really your name. They're not your lines. They're the clothes aren't it? So you're telling lies. And Dave very quietly said, no. No, we tell the truth for a living. That's what we do. We tell the truth. And he said, but they're not your lines. And he said, yeah, that's just the play. Those are just the words. But what we do is tell the truth. That's why I love you can mean everything from fuck you to marry me. The same freaking line. It's what you want, which informs it of how you say it.
Just hit it. Don't you want me to feel good? Subscribe.